Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. Hope all is well with you and yours. What's good, what's good, what's good. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff going on. I woke up early this morning, got to go down to the city, and I started doing some research, like the first thing I do. And then I started reading and I was like, there are some CEOs that are really speaking out, that are really becoming vocal about certain topics. And the first one I came across was Consensus CEO Joe Lubin expecting Ethereum to sooner or later surpass the value of Bitcoin. I would think overall value or market cap, because that's actually something I can buy into. I know some of you are probably thinking, Eddie's done lost his mind. I have not. I promise you I have not. You keep minting Ethereum. You don't with Bitcoin. Eventually, Bitcoin comes to an end. And what's out there is out there. That's it. No more, no less. Right? So with that, can Ethereum grow? Ethereum can grow. Now, back in the day, that was thought of, some people thought of that as a bad thing. Some people thought of it as a good thing. It was a different thing. Because Bitcoin can't grow. Ethereum can. That was by design. It was a choice. So do I think that that's actually true? Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that, right? The question becomes, how long will that be? And are there other chains that might be able to outdo Bitcoin in something like that? Cardano is one. Cardano's like the best of both worlds, right? It's got a finite supply and it's got programmability and interoperability. Those are great things to have. Those are absolutely astounding things to have. So that's something I'm paying attention to. And so when he made that point, I kind of looked at that and I was like, wow, that's interesting. There are a lot of things that I have in the back of my head that don't come to the forefront because I'm so busy looking at all of the facts that I stopped thinking about. Not stop, but I put theoretical ideas in the back of my mind as I'm looking for pearls of information that are, factual, that I can work on. And an article like this makes me take a step back and ponder the what ifs, right? And I think that's a big help when you can ponder the what ifs. As I look at a raccoon out in the daylight, probably out too late with his friends, going to get in trouble when he gets home. So that's kind of a big deal to me. I kind of look at that and I kind of go, ooh, that's interesting. So yeah, when I do my own research, knowing my entries and exits and absolutely investing deliberately, these are one of the things that every once in a while I take a step back and I pause and I give thought to it. Then I get hit with, something like the Trump family's Truth Social Bitcoin ETF filing with the New York Stock Exchange, ARCA, aiming to raise $3 billion. Now, they're looking to aim to raise $3 billion for a Bitcoin Treasury Reserve. I brought it up a little bit last night. My question is, and remains, when does it get approved? I will be watching this very closely because I want to know how long does it take for this to get approved. I want to see if it jumps ahead of the line and gets approved before everybody else. I want to see what happens. I want to see it play out. Does it join the long list of 70 plus, right? 70 some odd applications that are out there for various types of ETFs? Or does it get bumped to the top and approved? I'll be looking for that. I will absolutely be looking for that. South Korea's central bank plans to issue a centralized stablecoin, or rather they're thinking about issuing a centralized stablecoin for settlements. That's interesting. Because what they want to do is, a centralized stablecoin is called what? It's called a CBDC. What's good about a CBDC? Nobody's been able to explain that to me. A central bank digital coin, to me, is not good. A stable coin offered by a government is a CBDC. To me, you're renaming something is not going to change what it is and what you can do with it. I often think about the possible stablecoin offerings by banks, because who actually pulls the purse strings on banks? See what I mean? Who controls banks? And then by private companies. So there are a lot of things that I look at that I kind of go, yeah, I don't know about that, right? I don't know about that. This is one of those that I stop and I ponder. What's the use? What's the use you're going to get out of this that isn't already there? You get control. You get control. That's what you get, right? So I'm paying attention to these things. I just want to know, like, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Where are you doing it? When are you doing it? And who is doing it? Who's actually doing the work? I want to know things like that. It all goes into my research. It really does. It all goes into that database of research that I maintain. Just something to think about. And then something else kind of revealing. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong warned that the $37 trillion in U.S. debt could collapse the dollar and elevate Bitcoin as the new global reserve currency, citing inflation resistance and growing institutional adoption amid criticism of expanding deficits. He's not the only one that's saying this. He's not the only one that's saying this. You have other executives that are saying it. You have other just regular people saying it. You want to know why Elon Musk calls the new tax bill an abomination? It's because it tacks on trillions of dollars of additional debt to the 37 trillion we already have, with absolutely zero direction on trying to bring down and decrease the debt, the current debt. There is not even an answer for the new debt. Just create new debt. That's how stupid that bill is. And then you have different congressmen, different politicians saying, well, I didn't even read the bill. But you voted. These are people that should be immediately voted out. You didn't do your job. You got one job. That is your job. Read the bill. Understand the bill. Vote on the bill. You voted just because of party and instead of what's good for the nation. That's a problem. That's a beyond huge problem. That we have a bunch of people in Washington that aren't doing their job. That affects my bag. Because that bill carries with it a whole bunch of tax write-offs for the people up here and a whole bunch of additional taxes and decreasing of benefits for the people down here. Up here thrives, down here doesn't even survive. I have a question for all the people up here that are making all those arrangements. Who's going to buy your product? Who's going to do the work? Because you're sure as hell not. So to what end? What is your definition of enough? What is your definition of enough? Better question, probably. Do you even have a definition of enough? Do you believe in the idea of enough? I have a belief in the idea of enough. I want my legacy to be that my kids are able to learn, go to school, learn, live life, learn, be able to eat, put food on their table, be able to have a roof over their head, be able to live safely. Everything else is kind of gravy, right? It's an easy definition of enough. Now you can start to determine like what level of food, what class of food, who cooks the food, all that good stuff. I want my kids to be able to eat healthily and be able to say, I'm all right. life is good, and not be slaves. That would be a good thing. But the way that tax bill is written, people wind up being slaves. You want to know what else is in that tax bill? And this concerns me because it involves AI. And if you look at AI is one of the biggest game changers in the world. And it's going to cause job displacement, and a ridiculous amount of job displacement. So what troubles me is that there's a 10-year moratorium built into the bill that says AI will not be policed for the next 10 years in the United States. Imagine that. Imagine if that was going to be the case. Imagine if that was to happen, that AI would not be policed the next 10 years. What does that mean? That means that AI in the United States would be able to run rampant. It would be able to be used for anything. Public sector, private sector, be able to be used for anything. And if you haven't been paying attention to who's had access, unbridled access to government systems, and what agencies have been abolished, that 10-year moratorium should send chills down your spine. It will do more than affect just your bags. It will affect everything. Everything. This is why I say you invest in yourself first, right? Do your own research. Don't listen to the talking heads out here, including me. Maybe hear what they have to say and then say to yourself, I'm going to go research that. I'm going to go research that. You might be shocked at some of the things that you learn when you start connecting the dots, when you start grouping those dots and you start realizing, whoa, this is something that could happen. The possibilities of what could happen. In other words, don't just look here, but look up, look down the road a little bit, and every now and then go like this, so you can see both. And then you start to see how things can play out. You might see a few things. You might see a few things. Then we have Tom Lee of Fundstrat saying Bitcoin could surge 41% in 2025 to $150,000 to $250,000, eventually reaching over the years $3 million. He's looking like what, 2-3 years, maybe 5 years down the road, and being able to say that could happen. Imagine. I really do think by the end of this year, we could have $150,000 Bitcoin. Now, how you play that is a different story. We're at a point right now where we're not within a normal cycle. This is a completely different space. We broke out of the old cycle a long time ago, months and months ago. So now we're in a different space. I used to say, previously, we have never had this level of adoption, this level of knowledge, right? This level of mind space of the cryptoverse. We haven't had it before. Now we do. And it's not just from an investment perspective, it's from a technological perspective. People actually leveraging the technology, which is one of the things I tell you guys to actually pay attention to when you're investing. Well, investing in crypto. If something comes out and they say that they are a crypto, then what is your crypto used for? If there's no use case, then you're just a company trying to leverage crypto to make money, as opposed to a company that's creating crypto to create a function. Enhance a function and create a function, whatever it is, there is a true use case to why you're leveraging blockchain technology, as opposed to, oh, I just want to raise money. Now do you see where I'm going? Each one of these tiny little dots of light come together to shine the light on a particular direction, on a particular section. Pay attention to these things. Pay attention to these things. Don't be so quick to judge. Be so quick to learn. Just saying. Something else that's wild that's going on in the Czech Republic. Czech Justice Minister Pavel Blazik has resigned. This happened a few days ago. Has resigned over receiving $45 million in Bitcoin, in a Bitcoin donation, allegedly by a huge drug trafficker. Yeah. There are a lot of things going on with that. That's a good luck with that moment. But that just happens to be how the value was moved. People are going to say, see, I told you crypto is bad and crypto, blah, blah, blah. No. Let's not get it twisted. That transaction could have happened with fiat. So yeah, pay attention to what's going on. So you can actually understand how to do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. But I can tell you right now, something I'm paying attention to are all things involving the new regime and its cash inflow. Something else I'm paying attention to, all of the department agencies that have been shut down. I'm also going to be listening for how many agencies that were forced to give unbridled access to a particular individual in a particular department, what that means. Those were external people touching government computer systems, creating accounts, loading software, downloading data. Where's that data? Where is it? Just saying. There are a lot of things for us to pay attention to. And I don't want you to get, sidetracked. Anyway, you know what we should do? That's right. We should go over the numbers. So let's do this. Let me just make sure that I've got the right. Yeah, change the monitor. There you go. Let me get my notes out of the way. And we can see that the markets are starting up in a green kind of fashion. Like that part. NASDAQ is up about 31 points. The S&P futures up about 12 points, give or take, just dropped to 1175. And Dow futures are up 65 points. Basically coming in the door a little bit on the green side. To me, that's unchanged. When I look at today being Wednesday, what's going on? What can we expect today? ADP unemployment numbers, Atlanta Fed speak with Raphael Bostic. Pay attention on that one. You have Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook at a Fed Listens event. You have these two people at a Fed Listens event. That's kind of big. Listen to what they're listening to and listen to what they say. Just saying, Fed speak is big. S&P final U.S. services PMI, ISM services, and the Fed beige book. Tomorrow's going to be a big day as well. So yeah, we're at the fear and greed index of 62, down from 64. Not a shock. We had all that news about tariffs and about the bill. Obviously, the bill starting to take center stage. So you see tariffs kind of going backward in terms of mindset, and you have the bill that's going forward, and how much of an atrocity it is that it's meant to keep your attention. That's why I keep telling you guys, you got to look at everything. Then we got DeFi Llama. We used to be at 125. We're still at 120 billion total value locked. That's basically unchanged from yesterday. Bitcoin is up a tad to 105. We had been at 106 around here, right there, 106, almost 107. We're just bouncing around. You see where we're going right now? We hit above 107,771. We were bouncing around that number for a little bit. Then we bumped up. And now we're bouncing back around this band right here between 107.71 and the previous all-time high, which was 109.337. Yeah, the one that we first set. Yeah, this is first set. From all the way back there to now, this is where we're bouncing around. And I'm going to tell you right now, if we don't bump up in the next few days, every time it bumps up, I'm going to take profit. I'm going to take money off the table. Why is that? because I'm expecting most of June and July to be downward mobility. Do I think toward the end of the year, late third quarter, late third quarter and fourth quarter to get better? I do, but I'm going to start pulling out my money. Why? Because I want to buy in when it's lower so I can get more value. That's the idea. When I look at this one, I look at the big board, I'm looking at things that give me hope as to where I can make that money, right? BTC is always going to be a good thing. I'm looking at ETH, BNB, BCH, ADA, XRP, HBAR, Link, of course, Aave, XLM. SUI is another one that I'd be looking at. There are a few more that I'd probably get to, but these are the ones that I'm paying attention to at this moment, right? So something for you to kind of go, what else could happen right there, right? I don't play with Doge. I just don't. I don't see a use. I don't see a use case for it other than I'm just like Bitcoin. And the hype behind it got it to where it is, and I guess people do use it, but it doesn't really serve a purpose for me. It's kind of like I'd rather be looking at Cardano. So if you're involved in Cardano's marketing, come on, folks, step it up. Let's go, chop chop. When I look at these numbers, I'm kind of like, yeah, this is not bad. This is not bad. The distance between Ethereum and Bitcoin is at 34 points. You can see right here. And I'm looking at Ethereum hitting numbers that people weren't expecting. I think over the next few months, as they implement the scalability, interoperability upgrades to the system, you're going to start to see more Ethereum movement. It's going to attract more builders. That's why this is happening. They want more builders. Step it up, folks. Step it up. Then we've got Tether, stablecoin. I kind of look at Tether and I kind of judge on, well, how far away is XRP from Tether? I don't know that people pay attention to that. I do. Look at the distance that XRP is put between BNB and let alone Solana. Now Cardano's all the way down here at only $24.5 billion, right? That's far away from Solana. I expect that over the next couple of years, Cardano is going to stomp on Solana. When meme coins finally drop dead, Cardano's going to blow Solana away. And I don't think meme coins are going to go away in a quiet fashion. I think it'll be loud and messy and people will cry, yell, scream. They'll need counseling and all that good stuff. Well, Cardano just comes out of nowhere and says, we've got interoperability. Interoperability is big, especially when you talk about Bitcoin. I'd be able to move Bitcoin across the Cardano network, which is cheaper, faster, just as secure, and still decentralized. Aha, that's the big one right there. That's the big one right there. Truly rendering Cardano completely stateless. Can't be controlled by any given state. It has quietly achieved that, and nobody's really paying attention to that. When people start making the comparison between Cardano and Bitcoin, that's when you're going to see the change in Cardano's numbers. It's going to be huge. And people will start saying, Solana who? I told you last night about some educator in the K-12 space. What was the name of that company? Name of that company is Classover. Spent $500 million on Cardano. Yep. Just saying, in a few years, I think they're going to be sitting there looking at that. I hope they get out before then, but they'll be sitting there. I mean, I think right now they're going to make money. Do I think Cardano is going to hit 200 again? Yes. Do I think there's a possibility, maybe even distant, that it hits 250? Yes. So if you've invested, 500 now, and you're talking about what, 2/3 growth? Yeah. I'm not mad about that. Not mad about that. But I'm not going to stay in it for long because I can't trust it. I cannot trust it. I cannot trust that it's not going to have another crash and burn. So I have a problem with that. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. I hope you like the news that I'm bringing to you and that I bring it to you just about every day. And we're quickly approaching 10,000 pieces of news that we've delivered over the past 3 years. That's huge. And you can catch it all on growmybag.tv, which is about to go through a major upgrade. If you want to sign up and become a big bagger and take a part of the conversation that we're going to have live via video, it's all of us on a video conference call, all of the big baggers talking about stocks, bonds, options, even crypto, and what we're doing with regard to investment. It happens Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this coming Sunday. That's going to be a big deal and a lot of fun. We're all going to learn, and we're all going to walk out of there feeling good. Dead serious. If you want to be a big bagger, go to growmybag.tv/sign-up. Trust me, it's going to be a lot of fun, folks. Anyway, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. I hope you have a good one. As always, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And absolutely, thank you for your trust. I work for that every single day. I try not to talk at you. I try to speak with you. Everybody have a great day. See you tonight on the Crypto Overflow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye-bye.